Hi everyone, what's up? This is Reno from Smook Photography, and I, as promised, am delivering you a video. So this week, today's topic is 5 tips for beginner photographers. You're gonna like this one. Step number 1, stop spending. Less spending, more shooting. That's what you need to be doing. You need to know how your camera works. You do not need all this other gear. When I first started out in photography, I bought reflectors, I bought umbrellas, I bought strobes, I bought this, literally at least 50% of that stuff I don't even touch and I don't use, and it's gathering dust, because you always have in the back of your mind that the more gear you have, the better you are as a photographer, the more professional you look. It's a lie, don't do it. Secondly, you do not need the most expensive camera. If you're just starting out in photography, I don't care if you are planning on being a professional, you do not need a 5D Mark 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever's coming out next. You do not know how to use it, you'll waste half of the setting that's available on the camera. So start with what you've got first of all, and if you know how to use that camera, make it work. Interesting story on that topic. I once shot an event where I was hired by a private client of mine to cover the event for them on their side, and the actual event photographer that was hired by the entire company came to me and he asked me whether or not I was struggling with the light because he wasn't like managing so well. So I looked at his pictures and he looked at mine, and mine were at least 100% better than his, because I knew exactly how my camera worked and I knew exactly how to expose it for the conditions we were in. I was using my 700D, the one that we're filming on now, had my external flash on, and my pictures were clear, they were bright, they were sharp, and I looked at his and he didn't manage it so well. He's got the 5D, he's got a bazooka for a lens, he's got a gigantic brand name flash on, and my photos look better than his. As long as you know what you're doing with your camera, that's all that matters. That's why I'm saying get to know your camera first before investing in something more expensive. That being said, tip number 2. The only thing I would suggest spending money on is a 50mm lens. This little lens has changed my life, literally. It's changed my life, it's changed my photography, it's changed my style of photography. My photos look at least 1,000 times more professional just because of this little lens. I got this 50mm from Cameras in Rosebank a couple of years ago. I think it was between 1,200 and 1,300 Rand to buy, which is not expensive for a lens that's this compact and this powerful for the price that you pay for it. This is the only thing I would recommend spending on other than your actual camera. This 50mm is f1.8, you can go down to 1.4, but they start getting more expensive. So I would suggest just going for the 1.8. It is amazing and it is much more powerful, especially in low light. Because I know that's the #1 question when you just start out with photography. You just never have enough light, and that's because your kit lens just doesn't cut it. It's your kit lens usually stops at f3.5, that's the lowest you can go for, at 18mm, and it usually just goes up from there. So 50mm at 1.8 is amazing. I shoot everything with this. It makes your photos look so much more dynamic. It literally gives you that blurred out background bokeh effect. It lets in a lot of natural light, which is great for weddings and great for natural photography, because it just gives that light, airy feeling, and that's what you want in this lens. Tip number 3, please shoot in manual mode. If you're trying to be professional, auto mode will not make the cut. Portrait mode will not make the cut. Whatever flowers or whatever you see that you're always talking about on the top of your camera will not make the cut. You have to absolutely shoot in manual mode. I know it's difficult, but it gives you so much more control at the end of the day, and if you are taking a set of photos and not just one image, at the end of the day it's going to give you the most amount of consistency, especially sharpness in your photo, and that's what you want if clients are paying you for your work. We'll go into depth about the manual mode settings in another video. That's a whole other topic for me. I'll tell you exactly what to use, and you'll definitely struggle a heck of a lot less. This goes hand in hand with my first tip. Less spending, more shooting. The more you're working with your camera, the more you're playing around with your settings, the better you'll get to know your camera, your settings, the lighting setup that you've put up for yourself and how you work, and the better photographer you'll be. Tip number 4, if you're just starting out, make use of natural light. The sun is amazing. Who knew that it could have so many different variations and so many uses in photography? It really is your best, most natural resource. I started out in a studio, there were strobes everywhere, and it was so easy because your setup was the same, exactly the same time, every single time you shot, and it just made life a heck of a lot easier. Sunlight, on the other hand, is a bit more difficult because it keeps changing throughout the day. Clouds keep coming in and out and it changes the exposure of your photos. and you need to know whether you need to pose your client facing the sun or against the sun. 99% of the time you'll face your clients against the sun, but you do have that small little window in your golden hour where you can face them towards the sun just before the sun sets, and that's about the last time you'll do that. But please use natural light. It is so dynamic. Your photos look light and airy, as we said before, and if you're using your 50mm lens and natural light, you literally cannot lose. And if you're just starting out and you don't know how flashes work, natural light is literally the best thing you can do for yourself. That being said, on that note, if you are using natural light and you are taking clients out, please make sure that you either shoot either sunrise or sunset. Those are your best windows. That's when your light is nice and soft and light, and that's what you want. Please do not be one of those photographers that just takes their clients out at 12 p.m. It is harsh, the light, it is bright. You're either going to overexpose the skin or you're going to overexpose the background. Either way, it's not going to balance. Your contrast is going to be way too stark and it's not going to look good, and you'll end up with dark rings around their eyes, which is the worst thing you can give back to a client. So I suggest just telling your client, either sunrise or sunset. I do it all the time. I always give those two options, and your client will at the end of the day appreciate you for having some knowledge and for being professional and telling them what would look the best, because at the end of the day, they're paying you and they want their photos to look as good as they possibly can. Tip number 5, edit your photos. I don't care how good you think the image came out in the camera itself, you need to edit your photos. That's the number one thing. You can spot an amateur a mile away from the fact that they do not edit their photos, and that's mostly because a lack of knowledge of how to do it. I can almost guarantee you're gonna have to white balance your photos somewhere, because light always bounces back in different colors, and depending on what your clients are wearing, it's going to bounce back a different color than the actual natural color that it should be. So, white balance, little bit of exposure that goes up or down depending on how you shot it, and a little bit of contrast can go a long way. So please edit your photos. That'll also give you your stamp of style of photography that you want to portray, and it'll just make you look a heck of a lot more professional. Especially playing around with your different styles, it'll definitely give you a different look, and you can always change up your style over the past few years. If I look at my photos from where I just started to where I now am, my styles are that far apart because I've changed my mind so many times, and the better I get, the better tips I get, the more I learn, the better I put my camera to use, I put my editing software to use, and the better the photos look at the end of the day. And you start becoming a requested photographer and not a desperate photographer, and that's what you want. Thank you so much for watching the video. Those are my 5 tips for just starting out for beginner photography. I really hope these 5 tips do help. The main thing is just stop spending and start shooting. That's all you need to do. If you like the content you're seeing here, please do subscribe to my channel, click the bell so that you get notifications whenever I do upload a new video, and let's learn together. Thank you so much for watching.